Good morning, Patrick here from Complete Health. And just looking at some of BJ Palmer's old quotes, I always like to sometimes start my day with some stuff like positive affirmations or a little bit of sense of direction. And this morning I was reading some of BJ Palmer's quotes, and this one stood out to me quite a lot, especially considering everything that's going on right now, which is his quote about other professionals are always trying to adapt the environment for the client, whereas chiropractic is trying to adapt the client to the environment. What does this actually mean? What do we mean by this? What is adaptability? And by the way, Palmer was Daniel David Palmer's son, who was the original chiropractor. He invented chiropractic. And then BJ, we always kind of say that he was the marketer of chiropractic. He was really the person that blew stuff up. But by reading his dad's teachings and principles, he started to learn and teach people about what chiropractic was, and really started to kind of understand a lot of what the principles were. Now, interestingly enough, if you look at the way that we work with disease or dysfunction, we're always trying to eradicate or destroy something, but really we should be focusing on cause, or what is the cause of disease. And when we look at our environments are what are making us sick. So let's just take an example. If you stick a fish in a pond that's full of toxic water, what is likely going to happen to that fish? It's going to become sick and it's going to become unwell. If you take that fish from the toxic environment and put it into a fresh pond, is that fish more likely to heal? And the answer is obviously yes. But if you throw it straight back into that toxic pond again, that fish is going to become sick. So why as professionals are we trying to change the environment, or it's trying to change, constantly change everything around people, or change stuff on the inside, when we should really be looking at the environments and how we can help people to adapt to their environment? So let's just use a few examples. If you have never done a workout in your life, and then for work, for whatever reason, they ask you to lift a heavy bed or move a chair or help move a sofa around, or move some heavy equipment in the office, or you move house and you have to pick stuff up, and you haven't picked anything up for the last 6 months, your body is not going to have the capacity to adapt into that environment. And we as humans have a huge issue of constantly adapting our environment to us to suit our needs at the expense of so many other things. So let's just look at a few examples. We wear shoes on our feet. The number of patients that I see that cannot use the muscles in their feet because they've never walked without shoes on, the small muscles in their feet completely do not work. The joints in their feet are all locked up. They get flat feet, they get bunions. And the reason being is that the foot is no longer adaptable to being able to work in the environment when it is then called upon to do the work it needs to do. Let's just take, for example, if you wear a coat when you go outside and when it's cold, your body then never learns how to switch on the autonomic nervous system, bring up your goose pimples, shiver, shake, and actually start to learn how to reproduce heat in an environment when it's cold. Wim Hof talks about this all the time, and actually using stuff like breath work and ice baths in order to increase our immune function, which in a time right now is certainly worth looking at improving your immune function. There are so many examples using stuff like comfy chairs and beds, which they're all full of cushion and memory foam, and it supports everything and da. Well, if you're getting all this support from the bed and the cushion, what need do you have for the support from your muscles and your joints and your ligaments? Because if your bed is already doing all the support work for you, what ends up happening is your muscles and your ligaments and your tissues don't ever have to do anything. And if they never have to do anything, when again they're called upon to do something, they're inactive and they're not working. And if they're inactive and not working, what happens to your risk of injury? It goes through the roof. So whenever we change an environment, when we change the environment, again, another one, I'm sitting in a room that's got lights on. It's dark outside. So my brain has to adapt to the fact that there's lights on, but it's not real light. And our brains and our nerve systems are constantly adapting to this environment, and it's changing the way that our neurology works, the way that our brain works, the way that our nerves work, the way that our muscles work, the way that our ligaments work, so that when then we are actually called upon to do something without the thing that we've created to adapt to, e.g., you forgot to take your jumper to work, now you've got to walk home in the cold. Your body's not used to those processes. Maybe you forgot to wear your bring a spare pair of shoes and your shoes got wet and you have to walk without shoes on and those small muscles in your feet are not working. The lights on the power cut goes and you can no longer see as well because you're constantly used to lights. And the same could be true is if we constantly start using stuff like medications and vaccines to fight off viruses. By the way, your body was built with an inborn vaccination. It's called your immune system. It was designed to fight against disease and dysfunctions that get into and enter the body. But if we do all the work for it by putting the pathogens in front of it, your immune system never actually has to function. And every time that we actually use a vaccine or some sort of medication or antibiotic to then help our immune system is weakened that little bit more. It's like constantly going to the gym, but having someone that does the work for you, so you never actually have to lift the weight. You'll never get any stronger. And our immune system works exactly the same. This is the reason why kids get so many infections, because their body is working out how to fight against these pathogens, these viruses, and these bacteria. So rather than trying to look for an outside solution for all of our problems, we need to start looking within our own bodies and how we can actually improve the function and our health of our system. So again, we're going back to when chiropractic originated to look at these kinds of quotes. And these guys were talking about this over 100 years ago. This isn't new stuff about the internal body and the autonomic nervous system being able to fire on and off so we can control our environment from the inside of our body. It's not new stuff. We've known about it for hundreds of years. Yet, why are we not focusing on this? Why are we always focusing on the symptom? We should be looking at what the cause of those symptoms was right from the beginning and start training people's bodies to actually be able to adapt and cope with what's going on around them. Until tomorrow, have a lovely day. Patrick here from Complete Health. I hope you found this information helpful. And if you know someone that might benefit from this information, please pass it on. Speak to you again tomorrow.